I know I go back and forth because I remember things. So when I had the breathing issues and went through all the testing, um, I was still fighting to get therapy for my spine. So I went to a neurologist in January of 2019 who said, Lisa, we really need an MRI of your neck. I think your neck is causing the pain and the numbing and the loss of nerves. So my ulnar nerves were compromised. My right medial nerve is dead, left medial nerve's damaged. He said, this isn't just carpal tunnel. It's coming from your neck. You need an MRI of your neck. Unfortunately, he was in a hospital for that appointment. He didn't order it. And one of these dingbat South African doctors I had said to me, well, I'll decide if you need an MRI. So it takes me months to get her to order it. She orders it 4 months, no, July. I'd seen the neurologist in January. And the head radiologist at St. Boniface Hospital, which is the French hospital, so good luck getting in, says I'm non-urgent and pushes my MRI out over a year. So I break down out of pocket again. I go to New York to see one of the top spinal surgeons who tells me what's really wrong with me. He talks about my C456, the fact I have stenosis everywhere, bulging discs, come and go. I had 6 bulging discs in 2010, which were gone by 2011 from Pilates. So I'm doing the work too. I'm working every single day on restoring my body all the time, doing everything I can, like melt for pain, doing therapy, and so forth. So for $90,000, I could have had my cervical spine fused, but I don't really believe in that. I did not want fusion. I couldn't see how that would fix the pain and the loss of the nerve to my right arm, which was rapidly getting worse. Now, the doctor said they could starve off further damage, but I did not have $90,000 to give them. So I did go through the spinal assessment in Winnipeg after I paid the New York doctor because there's no way they would do MRIs for me. Both my low spine, several 4 or 5 areas of stenosis, and my neck. And they said the same thing twice. Well, we could operate on your cervical spine, but we don't expect a good outcome. I said, what does that mean? And they said, well, we don't do this often, and there is a risk that you could lose bladder and bowel control. Oh, thank you for that. Yeah, no. And then the low spine, they said, we could make your pain worse. So this is why I queued up to have this abdominal surgery so that at least the front of my body was holding me up. And it worked. I mean, I know enough about anatomy and I knew my own body well enough to know that I needed some kind of support for my core in order to give me more strength to heal. So surgery was brutal. It was made even more brutal by Dr. Murray and his clinic because the minute I had that stroke-like incident, I was supposed to get up the next morning. I was home at 2 a.m. from the hospital and I was supposed to be at the clinic at 6 a.m. for surgery. But I couldn't not mention what had happened. So Michelle Sutherland, who is their clerical nitwit, said to me, okay, well, if the anesthesiologist elects to cancel your surgery, we're not going to take your money. The anesthesiologist did cancel my surgery, but she stole 25% of the money for the surgery and never returned it and refused to rebook the surgery after I called her names. Yeah, they stole $2,000 I didn't have after I spent, 12,000 going to New York to get an MRI that I should have had in my hometown. And after I had to fork over money to pay for my own surgeries, that's what she did to me. So I did eventually have the surgery. I never got the money back from the Western Surgery Center, which is probably the richest plastic surgery center in Manitoba. They will not give me my money back, even though I've pleaded with them, written letters, done everything I can, complain to the Association of Physicians. Nobody cares. Remember, no consumer support, no protection from anything in Canada. You don't want health care here. You don't want to live here. So I had that surgery the following May, I believe. And God, it was brutal. I was 4 inches shorter for 10 months. I could not stand up. And it was incredibly, incredibly invasive. They basically laced up my rectus abs like a corset. I thought I was going to be thinner after. Same size. I wasn't a chubby girl. If I had been obese and had a skin flap, the surgery would have been paid for. How ironic is that? But instead, I needed it so I wouldn't fall down. Not enough reason. Anyway, so I had the surgery. Very, very difficult to recover from. And that was just the beginning of that part of my body being operated on. So I couldn't really get out of the electronic chair I lived in for 6 weeks. I couldn't move around. I could go up and down the stairs on my bum after a few weeks, but very, very difficult surgery. I cannot believe people do that for aesthetic reasons. Not worth it. If you're thinking of having a tummy tuck and that diastasis recti repair just because you don't like the way you look, get a Pilates coach. It is not worth it. It is a tough, tough go. Anyway, after that surgery, a year later, I get the labrum in my hip repaired. It's tattered by now because I've been waiting for surgery on my hip for years as well. And Pan Am Clinic that I approached about my hip in 2018 blew me off. And they blew me off on my shoulder too. Actually, Dr. Woodmass said he didn't think it was worth fixing. Nice, eh? So my labrum's completely tattered and I've lost, which the labrum's like a rubber cup that holds the femur. So it's like the soft tissue inside your hip joint. And my hip density had dropped dramatically since the accident because I didn't have a proper intact labrum. So finally, it was operated on by an awesome doctor, one of the Dr. Longstaff, awesome doctor. And again, I had, something to recover from. So I have spent a lot of time in recovery. Going forward, thank God for Dr. Longstaff because he fixed my torn meniscus, which no one would touch in Ottawa, no one would touch in Winnipeg. And because he could see that I was motivated, I believe, and that I took good care of myself, he was willing to do that repair as well. So now, just the last one, the shoulder surgery is coming up. I fought for it tooth and nail. Like I said, I was told I wasn't worth fixing more than once, but finally have a surgeon on board. The first surgeon I saw for my shoulder was in 2020. And then I found out he no longer operated because my doctor didn't really believe I needed surgery, but the surgeon thought I did, referred me to Pan Am where Dr. Woodmass blew me off, where they blew me off again. Jackasses, really. And I know someone whose kid was injured. She got surgery within a year of her injury. I don't know what it is. I think when you're like me and you know so much about your own body and you study and you know anatomy and you work, all the time at it, they're afraid to touch me because what if they screw it up? Because I'll know. I'll know. So I don't know if that's it. Please tell me, Pan Am, what's your problem with me? Love, love, love to hear about it. Anyway, that's it for now. Thank you for listening.